Welcome back to the Triple XP Arcade, the podcast where nerd culture levels up. We're here to press X on all things nerdy, so grab a token, press start, and let's rack up some
Triple XP!
In the arcade today, we have, as always, myself, Drew.
It's me, Migs, over here.
Hey everyone, it's Lex logged in.
On today's episode, we're going to be talking about animes. More specifically, we're going to be talking about some animes or some favorite picks for a beginner or someone who doesn't necessarily watch a lot of animes. So myself, I've watched a small handful of animes, but if I'm being honest, I would say I'm probably very, very far behind on the amount of really good animes that I've heard about. So I consider myself sort of a beginner level. And for some of our listeners who are tuning in, I suspect that some of you may have only seen a handful of animes or might have seen 0 animes. So the intent for this episode is just to pick Giggz's and Lex's brains a little bit because they are a little bit higher on the anime experience level, and we want to see what kind of good animes would be really good for someone to kind of foray into the anime world with. So let's start with kind of a very broad level question. We'll start with Giggz today. Giggz, when you look or when you're selecting an anime, what are some things that you look for something that would interest you to try picking up a new anime to watch?
For me, first thing is animation style. That's usually the thing that draws me in the fastest. So I typically find anything that has a good animation style, art direction, that kind of thing, and then gravitate towards that.
Okay. Would you say that if you had an anime that had really good animation style, but the story was a little bit weaker, is that still something that you would still tune into to watch?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of, I would. There's a lot of anime that I've watched solely because I thought the animation was good and not necessarily because the rest of it was good. So, yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say.
And Lex, how about you? What do you say are the things that draw you towards picking an anime to watch?
It's the character design for me and the story mainly for my side of things.
So you would say kind of like the animation maybe is less of an important point for you?
Yes, there's been a couple animes I've watched where the animation is quite bad, but I think they purposely do it. I hope they purposely do it, but if the story's good, it overlooks the animation itself.
So we've got kind of the two ends of the spectrum here, which is really nice. I think we're going to get a nice broad selection of some good anime picks for myself and for some of our listeners. Now, for me, one of the things that I hope for as a newbie trying to pick an anime is I want to pick something that doesn't really have a lot of, I want to say, preparation or homework to get into. So I don't know if you both know what I mean, but there are some animes where, they're widely regarded as good, but there's 500 episodes or 25 seasons. And you think, okay, if I'm going to get started into this, it's just like, it feels like a mountain that you have to climb. So for both of you, what would you say are some good animes that you've seen that feel like they're a little bit less of an investment just to get started?
Yeah, like I think like when I'm doing anime recommendations, I usually ask a couple questions to see what people are initially into, because I have a set selection of animes that I personally like, but if I'm recommending something that's like full on gore when someone doesn't like gore, that's a hard part of it. But it's very rare that I'd recommend an anime that has over 100 episodes outside of Dragon Ball Z. I love that. But like, yeah. Like if people are asking for an anime, I would rarely recommend like One Piece or Naruto because I think those are like 1,000 plus episodes.
Those are
200 or 300 plus now.
Really, Fairy Tail is too? Oh man.
Yeah, like they're good. Don't get me wrong, but if someone wants to binge watch it, you're going to take months if you're going like hardcore. If you're doing it at slow pace, I don't think you'd ever catch up to like where it's at for those ones. But for me, if I'm looking for something more generic, something to hop into super quick, I would say Spy Cross Family or Spy X Family would be my top recommendation, because it's very accessible for anyone who's looking into a show to watch.
Yeah, the seasons are pretty short, and they've only finished 2 seasons, I believe. I think the third one is being developed currently.
I think so, yeah.
And this was called again, Lex?
Spy X Family or Spy Cross Family. I actually don't know how to say the name of the title, but it's very accessible. What is it, Mix?
I think it's just Spy Family, and the X is just there as like a stylistic thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not like it's kind of like, AC/DC. You don't say the slash, but it's there kind of thing. It's like just a nice thematic thing. But I think it's just called Spy Family.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, Lex, in your best, I want to say, spoiler-free attempt, give us a little rundown of what Spy X, Spy Cross, Spy Family. Give us a little rundown or a synopsis on what this anime is about.
Yeah. So it takes place not like in the present or future, but more like probably like the early 1900s, for example. Like it's like people dressed in like, that professional attire and everything there. Maybe like, I think like 1920s maybe. But essentially it's a family of a daughter, a husband, and a wife. But they're not an actual family. They actually met each other to take advantage of each other based on their personal life. So the husband is a super spy, and he wants to have a family as a disguise to make sure that people don't see him as a super spy. The wife is an assassin, and she wants to have a family because people are starting to ask questions of why she's not married or engaged or anything, why she's not in a relationship. So she ran into the husband, and it kind of worked out for both of them. And the daughter, I think the husband needed a daughter to make the family complete. But the thing about the daughter is she's a psychic, or the one where she can read minds. Telekinetic.
Yeah, I think they call her an esper, I believe, but it's psychic in like North American language.
Yeah, so she can read the minds of her mom and dad, and she knows that the dad is a spy and the mom is an assassin, but they all don't know this. She's the only one that knows this, and it's just a very fun watch in general because they each try and hide their identities. The daughter knows it all. Plus, the animation's very cute, and the music is quite funny as well. When something dumb happens, it's like an off-key flute, and it's just a very fun watch, like a very friendly watch.
Yeah, the characters are all very likable, and wives like it as well. So it's a good watch with your wife.
So would you say this anime is more, I want to say, comedy-based? Like this is more of like a funny kind of anime that you would watch?
Yes, I'd say funny action, almost, right?
I would say comedy, slice of life, maybe?
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
What do you mean by slice of life?
Slice of life is kind of like an anime version of, to me, it's like a sitcom or a like a Modern Family type deal.
I would watch an anime version of Modern Family.
I think you'd like Spy Family. And yeah, sorry, slice of life, that's a type of genre that's well known in anime terms. But yeah, Giggz had put it pretty well. Slice of life is basically like one of those like standard sitcoms that you see on like Netflix or TV.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, before we go over to you, Giggz, for your sort of first pick for a kind of a short episode recommendation to kick us off, tell me a little bit about some of the anime genres, because I think for some people who are less experienced, anime in and of itself sounds like it's a genre of things. So you might watch, like you said, a sitcom, or you might watch like a TV murder mystery. And then when you think anime, I kind of think that I kind of just group all animes together in one single bucket, but there are, as you mentioned, many different genres of anime. What are some of the more popular ones that you've both seen, genre-wise?
Well, so we mentioned a couple already. So slice of life is a very, very popular genre. Some other ones that kind of come to mind are shonens. Shonens are essentially Dragon Ball. So they're like a hero's journey type things. Usually it follows a singular protagonist that is typically young. Shonen means kid or like youngster, I think, in Japanese. So it usually follows their journey to becoming typically a hero of some kind. So that's like your Dragon Ball, Bleach, Hunter x Hunter, that kind of thing. And then there's your typical action animes. You have a lot of high fantasy ones. Lex, what is it called when it's in another world? What's the term for that? I feel like you know it.
Yeah, there's a term for animes where the story takes place in another world. So, like, you have your standard world, and then you get stuck into a video game world. There's a specific genre for that. I can't remember what the genre is called, but
it just came to me. It's called an isekai.
So yes,
isekai, it's like your protagonist is sent to another world either by they died or they get teleported or some sort of crazy thing like that. So think like Alice in Wonderland is like an isekai, I guess, because she gets teleported to another world, basically.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way of putting it.
So it sounds like, with regards to anime genres, it sounds like there's probably just as much genres as there is for just TV shows, movies, kinds of things. So anime is just basically categorized as it being some sort of animation medium, but the genre of that is sort of as diverse as any TV show. Is that fair to say?
100%. Yeah. They just have
awesome.
a different nomenclature for certain things because it's a lot more. They have certain genres that are even more niche and specific, but there's, in general, the same sort of overarching genres in anime itself.
Okay, so one more side question or follow-up question from here. What differentiates what we would consider cartoons to an anime? So, for example, if someone was watching, I'm old, so a little bit of an older reference, like the 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the cartoon that was on TV. Would we consider that an anime?
No. I think those are just called American cartoons. Like, there are different regions of the world that make their own anime, and I think they have different names for them. Like, Korean anime has a very specific naming convention that I can't seem to remember. One such example of that is Solo Leveling. That won a couple awards recently or something like that. Alex and I watched it. It's really good. But that's a Korean anime, and so it has a different nomenclature. Something like Invincible would almost be considered like an American anime, I think. Not necessarily an American cartoon. I think I don't really know where the differentiation comes from, but you kind of get a feel for it when you've watched a bunch.
Yeah, I've always seen anime as like there's a story to it versus cartoons are something that you just watch on a Saturday morning. There's no tie to what the previous episode was or a build up to anything in general. So I feel like Turtles is like a hit and miss because yes, there's a slight story to it. Like you gotta find Shredder, but it's more like action, kind of like you can hop in on any episode and understand what's happening versus for an anime, if you hop into episode 4, you won't understand anything that's happening.
That makes sense. So SpongeBob, for example, is an episodic show. You can hop in at any point during any season and kind of still follow along what's going on. It's not kind of an overarching story arc, right? So It's kind of like in that episodic nature, whereas animes, as you're saying, tend to kind of have a more of a longer, more sort of story investment throughout a single season, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. That's my understanding to it personally. Like, for example, the longer animes like Dragon Ball Z, if you hop into an episode, you won't really know what's happening. Like, why is this guy in orange fighting this popsicle looking guy? And why is he just yelling for half the episode? If you hop into an episode of like Justice League or SpongeBob, they have a big baddie, or they have a problem, or they have a story of that entire episode. And then once that's done, that's done. There's no follow up to it.
Yeah, I would almost say like it's kind of like American cartoons are your Garfield comic strips or your Peanuts or your Calvin and Hobbes Archie comics. It's like you get your one panel, your one three panel, whatever they're called, once a week, whereas manga is like a novel with illustrations, right? So it's kind of the flavor difference between the two.
That makes sense. So, Miguel, going back to our original question that we started off with, if you have kind of the first one that comes to the top of the head, doesn't need to be the best one, but just the first one that comes to the top of your head for sort of a short term or a smaller investment anime to dive into, what would you say your pick would be?
I would first have to ask what you would consider a short investment. Like, are we talking 10 hours? So that's like 10 1-hour episodes or 20 half-hour episodes type deal? Or are we talking like mini series, which is like 5 hours?
I would say a short investment here in this context could qualify as something that you could binge over a weekend.
Okay. Yeah, that I've binged many anime over a weekend. So especially for like the longer running ones, you know, when I'm trying to catch up, it ends up I'm watching like 10 episodes a day. So I think there's a few. I think if I were to recommend something more recent, as they're more readily available through different streaming services, things like that, I think one of the best ones that came out recently that a lot of people like is Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Cyberpunk Edgerunners being made in the Cyberpunk universe, the same Cyberpunk I don't even remember. Is it 2077? The one with Keanu Reeves. Yeah. So it's in the same universe as that, just follows a completely different character, and it's still in Night City, which is where Cyberpunk 2077 takes place, but not at all tied into the video game at all, just with the themes. So that's a really, really good one to start because it has very good animation. It was made by the Trigger Studio, which I think I mentioned in an earlier pod. They made a lot of like iconic animes that are short from back in the day, such as Gurren Lagann, which I also recommend. But I think Cyberpunk Edgerunners is a good one to start. Yeah. Plus the music in it is really cool. The action scenes are really good. It can be a little violent. Now, I have to just say that just because if you're not into that kind of thing, you maybe want to go with something else. But if you're okay with it, Cyberpunk Edgerunners is a good place to kind of jump off, I would say.
And you said you don't have to have played the game to understand what's going on in this anime.
No, you don't. It's mostly about the Cyberpunk universe. So if it's good to know a little bit about Cyberpunk in general. But you don't need to know anything. It's just you might get confused if they mention some sort of tech that you haven't heard of before. It's just that's about it. It's futuristic stuff, so it's sci-fi. So, I mean, there's a lot of sci-fi movies that you've watched where you don't really understand what the tech is on the first watch through, but subsequent watch throughs you understand what it is, right? Blade Runner, for example. So, yeah, you don't have to know, but it is really thematic. So it's a very interesting way to start into the cyberpunk universe if you like that sci-fi type stuff.
I like one thing that you mentioned too. I think that's worth noting or calling out for our listeners, and that's this anime could potentially be a little bit violent, but there are a lot of animes that are not. So I just want to make sure we clarify that for our listeners. When we think of animes, and like I said at the top of the call here, if we bucket, or if you're kind of a newbie and you're bucketing animes all together, not all animes have sort of this gory, violent kind of animation style. Like for the, what was the previous one? Spy Family?
Yeah.
Spy Family, yeah. Is that one violent?
PG. It's real PG.
PG,
but it
okay.
is very good. Yeah.
Action scenes, but it's not like gory. There's like, they got to defuse a bomb, but it doesn't explode and hurt innocent people, for example.
A little bit different from like the Invincible anime.
Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
Yeah. Significantly different.
Cyberpunk is definitely your rated M for mature type deal. But you're an adult; you can watch it. It's fine. No one's gonna get mad at you.
I'm a big boy. Yeah. Okay. So, talk to me a little bit about. I'm going to call out sort of one of the main ones that I'm sure everyone has heard of. Talk to me about Dragon Ball, sort of the Dragon Ball series. From both of your perspectives, is Dragon Ball a decent anime to start with if you've never seen animes before?
No.
Hard no. No.
I can say that because I'm actually rewatching the entire Dragon Ball Z series from the beginning. Like I do Saturday morning cartoons. It is way
Explain yourself. Explaining Saturday morning cartoons. Sorry, I needed to interject because
I feel like at our age, you miss like the things you did as a kid, and I always looked forward to morning cartoons every weekend. That's what signifies the start of a weekend for me. So oddly enough, Saturday mornings I wake up earlier than I would for my standard workday, and pop in a bunch of different animes and cartoons through a day. So I actually started with like Recess, Dexter, or like Dexter's Laboratory.
Laboratory?
Yeah, that's how he says it.
DD.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out of my laboratory.
Yeah.
Not the Michael C. Hall Dexter.
No, not that one. Yeah, I started rewatching it. I'm on episode 110. It is way too slow to be an intro for an anime. Like the fact that like 80% of what I've seen are like fillers. I'm like, you can get to the point, but they keep cutting out to different storylines which don't really matter. Like I don't care why this frog is chasing Bulma, or why they're planning to go to this planet, for example, or why they're going shopping. I want to see the actual fight, you know?
Yeah. Yep. What?
Yeah.
Sorry, Lex. How far is that saga wise?
Episode 110. I just finished Garlic Jr. So.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah.
And yeah,
okay.
Garlic Jr. is like a filler plot as well, which they can cut out entirely. There is it's called Dragon Ball Z Kai, where they cut out a lot of the fillers, but I'm watching the original one first, and then I want to watch Kai to see exactly what they cut out from the original, because I'm genuinely curious how much more streamlined they made the series, because right now, as it stands, if you watch the original, it's punishingly slow.
Yeah, I think Kai is a huge improvement from what I've read online. Yeah, it's like a remixed version where somebody chopped out all the useless stuff, but I think it's still really long. So it's definitely a commitment show for Dragon Ball.
It's not a beginner friendly one.
And you, of course, Giggz, said also a resounding no. Same perspective, or do you have kind of different thoughts as to why this is also not, or why this is not a good starter show?
Honestly, it's the same. It's just a slog. I think it takes a while for it to get to a point where it's kind of enjoyable, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of new shonen type anime that get going quickly and stay very entertaining throughout the whole season, which are also shorter in general. I think just the way shows are made nowadays, they're a lot shorter. They don't have those filler episodes. So you got to commit to Dragon Ball. And I think the reason why it's so popular still is just, a lot of us grew up with it, right? So it was kind of like, we didn't have many options growing up, so Dragon Ball was it. I still love Dragon Ball, and I think Dragon Ball Super was really fun to watch. I wouldn't say from an objective standpoint, though, that it was necessarily great. The story is kind of non-existent. It's just like a how strong can Goku get sort of deal, or his kid, or somebody else in the roster. It's not. There's no real, no story to really latch onto other than cheer for your guy, right? So
yeah, and I think it's I don't know if it's an official or unofficial rule, Gigs, but there's something called the 3-episode rule, and I don't know if that applies to just anime or even TV shows in general, but that's one of the rules I usually apply for when I choose an anime as well. And Dragon Ball does not satisfy the 3-episode rule, in my opinion.
Sorry, can you explain the 3-episode? Yeah.
So for just in general, I think I apply this to any TV show I watch, but the first 3 episodes of a series or an anime have to capture me. Episode 1 is typically like the introduction to the anime. You get introduced to the characters, what the atmosphere is like. Episode 2 is the character development, so you get a little bit more information on who these characters are and why you want to be invested in them. And then episode 3 to me it's called like a turning point. I can't remember the exact word, but like my friend had mentioned to me, this is an actual rule that they follow at Netflix. But episode 3 is called it's like a turning point or an apex point where it actually leaves you with something epic and making you want to continue the series. The first 3 episodes of Dragon Ball were slow.
So sorry, I was going to say this. So this 3-episode thing, this is like an industry thing. This is not like a
apparently, but
personal rule.
This was always my personal rule for animes. If I'm not captured in the first 3 episodes, I don't want to invest my time in the rest of it because why would I? Even if it gets better by episode 10, you kind of already lost me in the first 3. Like if it's already going that slow, I don't want to be committed continuing to it.
Interesting. That's a good rule.
I will say, from the perspective of someone myself who has not seen a ton of animes, I do remember trying to watch Dragon Ball Z and wanting to be invested into it. And keep in mind, I am invested in these characters. I do want to see kind of the story progress. I want to see all of this stuff. So this isn't just kind of a new person picking a random anime. I wanted to, but to Lex and Giggs' point, it was a bit of a slog to try and get into, and lots of filler episodes. So I actually dropped off. I think I dropped off before the Frieza saga ended. So I know I missed a lot of really good things or cool things that happened kind of at the end of that saga and into some of those post Frieza sagas. But for me, it was, like you're both saying, it was really, really hard to commit hours to watch these filler random episodes that didn't progress the story that I wanted to see in any way. So I can confirm, I also would not recommend Dragon Ball as a good starter series to jump into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, yeah, as classic and like iconic as it is, it's just fine, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Kai could very much satisfy that condition of gripping you in the first few episodes, but as it stands, Dragon Ball Z did not.
Yeah, I feel like playing Dragon Ball games is probably a more entertaining way to get into the story if you cared to. Almost all of the Dragon Ball games just rehash the overall story in some way. Like
that's a really good point.
Even in Dragon Ball Fighters, they just kind of go through the story.
Yeah, like when we're playing Tenkaichi or Budokai, I remember playing the story mode of those games and getting through all the way up to the Frieza saga, where in anime time, that's maybe, how many, Lex, would you say? How many episodes to get to the Frieza saga? Like over 80?
Um, Frieza Saga started around episode 71,
50.
I think.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's the whole Goku get into King Kai's thing and all that stuff with
Yeah. Yeah, like the Saiyan saga with Vegeta and Nappa went up to like episode maybe 35, and then 35 to like 60 was Gohan and Krillin and Bulma getting to Namek and finding out everything about Namek. And then like episode 71 is where Goku finally shows up. I think like episode like 80 is when he starts actually fighting Frieza, or 85 or something like that.
So we're talking like if we're going from the beginning, the very start of Dragon Ball Z to end of Frieza Saga, you're looking at like investing 90 plus episodes, whereas these video games, like I said, Budokai, Tenkaichi, you're getting kind of a condensed version of that story in like maybe 2 hours of gameplay time. So to Giggs's point, if you want to dive into the story to see if Dragon Ball is kind of the IP that you're interested in following, I think that's a good call, Giggs. I think starting with some video games, starting with some of those Dragon Ball games, because a lot of those are really good games, and those are kind of the best way to kind of get a gauge if this is the universe that you want to be invested in, right?
Oh yeah, totally. Now, I just want to say one thing is anime is not made the same way anymore. Like, we're talking about Frieza Saga taking almost like 100 episodes plus, right? You can get through a modern anime in like 50. So even with 3 or 4 seasons, because they're not that long anymore. Like, I think I don't remember exactly, but the entire Attack on Titan series, so that's I think 4 seasons and the 5th one split into 2. That entire thing is only 84 episodes or something like that. So you're finishing an entire series with a whole plot and like n number of twists and turns, and it's really entertaining throughout the whole thing. And you would finish that in less time than it takes for Goku to arrive on Namek or whatever. You know what I mean? So I feel like using Dragon Ball as a reference is gonna make it harder for you to commit to good anime nowadays.
Yeah.
So
let's talk a little bit about Attack on Titan. Is that a good beginner anime? Yes or no?
Ooh.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Again, I'm assuming we're all adults and we're okay with a little bit of super heavy violence. So
it is a little bit of super heavy violence.
So the gore aside, I will say that it is a very visually aggressive anime, but the story is actually great and it's really gripping, and there's tons of mysteries and crazy twists that happen and you get really drawn into it. I think it also ended extremely nicely. I don't know what the general consensus is online. I don't try to see what other people think too much online because it can be a little divisive, but it's a excellent series. I loved it from start to finish. So in my opinion, yes, totally into it. Again, 83-ish episodes over 5 seasons. Like it took like 10, 15 years for the whole thing to finally release. So I got to watch it over the drip feed of my early 20s, early 30s, right? So,
all right. Stamp of approval from Giggs. Lex, how about you? What do you think about Attack on Titan?
I don't know if it's a beginner-friendly one. And again, yeah, Giggs made a good point of like, if you're okay with gore and violence, then I would say yes. But if you're not, that wouldn't be a recommendation, just because, like, for example, my wife had started it, but it was too violent for the first episode, where I think she got a nightmare from it. And that's not that first episode is it's quite on it in terms of what
intense.
Yeah, it's intense. Yeah. So like it's a very, very good anime, but not one to dip your toes into as your very first entry into kind of like that realm.
Yeah,
That's
I
fair.
agree. I didn't even write it down because I think it's too much a little bit for most people if they're not prepared for it. Same thing with Invincible, right? If you're not ready for that, it's hard to commit to that kind of show. So I didn't even. I'm only talking about it because you asked, but I think in general there are other ones for people to get into if they're just interested in a different anime.
Okay. We'll get to some of these other picks shortly here, but there is another anime that I do hear a lot of buzz about, and I want to get your thoughts on this one because this is my understanding is this is sort of an American-made anime. I'm talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. Give me your thoughts about Avatar.
Ooh, I never watched that one actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I loved it. I'm talking about the Aang one, not.
Yeah.
I never really finished or got too much into Korra's, but all of Aang's stuff was really, really good.
A little bit more, I would say, beginner friendly, no?
Yeah, it is. It's a weird one because it's definitely made sort of with kids in mind, but it is extremely good even as you get older. I think it's it's just like one of those shows that kind of broke its initial audience, broke through its initial audience into a larger one. So it's kind of an exception. But I'm not even sure if it kind of, I guess it does kind of fall into anime in general. It has a lot of the same tropes and things.
And just to clarify, we're talking about the animated one. We're not talking about the live action one. We're not talking about the M. Night Shyamalan movie one. This is the animated series, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I have seen the whole thing, and as someone who has less experience with animes, I really did enjoy that one. I was able to get invested pretty quickly, and it's not, I think, I might be mistaken, I think it's 4 or 5 seasons or books, as they call it, so not a huge investment to get into. Probably not something that you can binge over one weekend, but I think it was enough to kind of keep me engaged where I wanted to keep coming back and seeing it weekend after weekend.
Did you get gripped in the first 3 episodes?
I think I did, to be honest with you. I think they set it up really nicely where they set up the sort of atmosphere, the universe really well, and you kind of feel invested in the characters pretty quick because, in my opinion, Avatar threw in like a lot of humor. It was kind of less of a serious one, and at that stage, I had really only seen sort of more serious ones. Most of the ones that I have tried to check out have kind of been more along kind of like the serious, less focused on the being silly and funny kind of side of things. Not that Avatar is like a slapstick type of anime, but it does throw in elements of that which make it feel more fun. And I think maybe to Giggs's point is what kind of made it feel like it was maybe catered for kids as well. But I kind of like that, to be honest.
Now keep in mind, I think that was made by Nickelodeon, so that's
kind
of why. So if you're looking for anime that's kind of developed for younger audiences, that's where you would look into shonens and stuff, because those are typically intended for younger people. And and a lot of what I watch is not, because I like to watch the things that are made for older audiences with deeper themes typically. Now, it's not I'm not throwing shade, that's just like, it's the same thing. I don't watch we'll say kids shows. I don't watch Blue's Clues. I watch, I don't know, X-Men. You know what I mean? It's like it's just the different audience. That's all it is.
All right, Lex, we're going to go back to you. Give me your thoughts on another one of the animes that are on your list for something that would be a good beginner-friendly one.
Beginner friendly. So when I think beginner friendly, I typically don't think anything gory, just
Mhm.
because um, I think that's one of the not topics, but it's one of the things in movies, TV shows, anime that people are 50-50 on. Like either you like it or you don't.
Yeah.
So the other one I would recommend, it's a very short one. I think it's only one season or 12 episodes. It's an anime called Erased, and this is not Eraser from our previous episode with
Nice.
Arnold. Yeah.
It's about an anime with Arnold and his railgun.
Oh, I would watch that. But yeah, Erase is like a mystery thriller anime. So again, it goes against the grain of like when people think anime, they're thinking like superheroes, superpowers, action, adventure, um, crazy moments. This one is very slow. It's very story driven, um, and like that's one of the few movies, TV shows where I've actually gotten goosebumps at certain points of the series.
How many seasons of this are out?
I think it's only one season, so it's very short.
Oh, okay.
If there's
And
more,
this
then
is
I've only seen the first season.
and it's like a full one season and that's it, or is there intention for there being more seasons?
I don't remember how it ended, but the way it ended, I thought ended well, where it didn't leave me wanting more. It ended on like a note that you want a series to end on. They might have teased something, but I for sure have only seen the first season if there is more than one season.
Okay, so they're like, if it ended there, you would be happy, but if they had season 2 plus, you would be happy with that as well.
Yes, correct.
I'm gonna have to look this up. I don't think I've watched Erased. Sounds good.
I mean, to not spoil it, the story, it's a thriller story, and Drew, you might actually like it because there's time travel involved in it.
Ooh,
So
I like time
thriller,
travel.
mystery, time travel. And I don't want to say any more because I think that'll give too much spoiler to it.
And where are you watching this, Lex?
I have a subscription to Crunchyroll, so that's usually where I go. But Netflix, Prime Video, even I think there's some on Disney Plus as well. They all have like solid selections as well, and some of them do crossover. Like My Hero Academia and Demon Slayer, for example, you can watch on Crunchyroll and you can watch on Netflix, for example.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's different avenues to dip your toes into it. You don't necessarily need the dedicated Crunchyroll subscription.
I mean, the booth at Evo didn't really sell me on getting the Crunchyroll
that was
subscription.
disappointing.
Yeah.
Shout out to our Evo episode. If you haven't seen that one or listened to that one, go back and check that one out. You'll hear a little bit of the Crunchyroll booth.
Yeah, there's honestly, I think there's at least one or two good series on every single streaming platform. So you can always find something good, I think.
Yeah.
All right, Giggz, coming back to you. Give me one of your other picks for a nice beginner-friendly anime, in your opinion.
I guess I gotta clarify. So are we talking beginner friendly? Are we talking for anybody, or are we talking for people like us, or for you, for instance?
That's a fair question. I would say go with your heart on this one. Whatever pick that you give us, maybe just let us know what audience you intend that beginner group to be for.
Okay. Well, see, it's a little tougher for me because after Alex's comment, like almost everything I watch has some sort of violence in it, and that's not just because I like that. It's just it serves a purpose.
Yeah.
It serves a purpose in the stories, right? Like you don't watch a detective show without people dying in it, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would go more classic route. There's a lot of kind of anime that I think a lot of people in general consider as almost must-watches that are short. I think one of those I think you would like is Cowboy Bebop. I think most people know what I'm talking about when I say Cowboy Bebop. It's pretty sure it's in the 90s. It's still 4:3 aspect ratio and all that. But that's kind of like before anime started to look a little samey in my opinion. So the art style was still that 90s look, which was all the characters had a lot of personality in just their visuals alone. That one is kind of interesting in that it is episodic, but there is an overarching story within the 20 episodes. I think it's 20 episodes or 26 or something like that, for the whole season. But the middle of the show or the middle of the season is episodic. So they'll go on their flavor of the week adventure, but there will be ties into the overall story. And it doesn't get resolved until the end of the season. And it's only one season. So you watch it from beginning to end, and there's an additional sequel. Sorry, there's actually a prequel movie that you can watch after if you just wanted more Cowboy Bebop. But in general, you could just watch it once and get the idea in the one season. It's incredibly good. The music is incredible. The themes are a little bit more deep, emotional, character-driven type stuff. Yes, I highly recommend Cowboy Bebop to pretty much anybody that wants to watch anime. Again, there's violence, quote unquote, because there's guns and stuff, but it's not overly violent. It's still intended for younger adults and stuff.
And give us the quick synopsis again on what the story around Cowboy Bebop is.
Oh, Cowboy Bebop is like it's a space western. I think that's what they call them. It's so you have a crew that has a ship, and they do little adventures, we'll say, throughout the season. But it's a very what do you call it? The main character is like the hotshot, quote unquote, cowboy type character that's very charismatic, gets into a lot of trouble, but ultimately is a good-hearted person. And he has a crew and like a best friend / pilot / mechanic that gets into all the same trouble as he does. And then they meet a woman and yada, yada, yada. So it's more of like a character-driven story throughout the whole thing, if that makes sense. It's just following their journey. There's not really like a grand plot per se.
I mean, that does make it feel like it's a little bit easier to get into, though, if it's episodic, right?
Yeah, totally. And it's like it's one of like the best anime of all time, kind of like colloquially. I can't say that word, but you know what I mean? Like typically everybody kind of knows about it at the very least. So yeah. It's a great one to start with.
Awesome. Okay. So I want to get quick thoughts on your opinions when looking at animes here. Do you do original audio in the original language or dubbed in English? What's the best way to do this?
Giggz, you can go first. Me or you?
Oh, I mean, I think we both have the same answer here, right?
All right, count of three.
On the count of three.
Count of three? Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Original.
Subs.
Same thing.
AKA original. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just typically the raw audio or the original audio with subtitles.
Original
Subs
audio
over
with
dubs.
subtitles. Does it ruin the experience for you guys if you're watching an anime and it's dubbed in English?
Yeah.
I would say like 90%
Totally.
of the time, yeah. It's there's nothing against the voice actors for the English dubs. They're quite good, but something about the Japanese voice actors showcase so much more emotion to the character that you become a little bit more tied versus when it's English, because you're trying to like translate it one-to-one based on what's happening on the screen. So when the English cast starts yelling, for example, just in a regular scene, it seems over-exaggerated versus when you're listening into the Japanese version, it sounds more attuned and more normal to the character itself.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I know I watched Sword Art Online once upon a time, and it was on Netflix, so it actually defaulted to English. And so I watched the first few episodes in English, and I didn't think anything of it. It wasn't distracting for me at all. Then I realized that I was like, oh, this actually, the original language is Japanese. So I switched it over, and you're right, Lex. It actually really changed the atmosphere of this show for me. It felt less cartoony. Like when it's English dubbed, it has that sort of, like you said, over-exaggerated sort of fake vibe to it, whereas the original Japanese audio just felt more emotionally investing, because you can hear kind of like you can hear their voices, I want to say, a little bit better emotionally, right?
Yeah. And like my really good example to that is it's not even an anime, but it's the trailer for when they first announced The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. There was a split moment where Zelda talks and then she cries. The emotion that comes through in the Japanese version actually made me tear up a little bit, versus when you listen to the English version, it's not as powerful. I don't know what it is, but something about Japanese voice actors are fantastic at their job.
The English dub has the sort of Lucille Ball over-exaggerated cry.
Yeah.
It takes away all of the impact of it. All right. In our last little segment here, let's do a quick speed run, I want to say. Let's go back and forth between Lex and Giggz on, these don't necessarily have to be beginner friendly ones. These just might be really good animes that you would typically recommend to someone, not necessarily someone who has never seen an anime before, but just ones that you, in your opinion, are just really, really great animes that you don't want to miss out on. So we'll just do kind of speed round, give us the name of the anime, and just give us that short synopsis on kind of what the anime is about, or what the story is, just so we have an idea if that's kind of something that we would be interested in checking out. So let's start with Lex.
I want to hit one of the popular ones up. You see it in a lot of stores. It's called Demon Slayer.
I see that everywhere.
That one's very popular right now.
Yeah, I think they have a movie out right now in Japan, and it's actually coming stateside tomorrow. Actually, I'm watching it tomorrow. But
there you go.
That movie. So the movie is, I guess, season 5. Like, they turned the last season into a 3-part movie, and that movie itself has apparently broken box records across Japan by a very large margin, to the point where they actually, in some places, started opening the theaters 24/7 so they can get the amount of people who want to watch it to watch it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and funnily enough, referring back to the previous episodes, I don't usually cheer for a lot of things. There was one scene in the series where I actually stood up and I yelped because I was so invested into that specific scene, where I was just so shocked, and it was just pure reactionary. It wasn't on purpose. I was just so invested into part of it, and it's something I'd highly recommend to a lot of people. Very violent, very gory, but it's meant to do that because you're supposed to see the actions and impact of what happens with the violence.
Okay, and then super quick again, what is the anime about?
So the anime is about I guess a kid who loses his entire family to demons, and he ends up becoming to want a demon slayer he becomes a demon slayer because he wants to get rid of the world of the demons. Vengeance storyline.
So the movie that's coming out tomorrow is part 1 of part 3?
Yes, and I'm super excited because the way they ended the last season to build into it was an ultimate cliffhanger where I was so mad. And that's how you know you're doing something good.
So you shouldn't be watching the movie if you haven't seen the show, fair to say, right?
Yeah, 100%. And that being said, I'm actually dragging my wife along, so I'm not alone in the theater, and she hasn't seen any of it, so I'm genuinely curious to get her reaction of what she's done in the movie.
Yes, we might have to bring her on the show to get a review of part 1 of season 5 with no context whatsoever.
Yeah, hasn't watched a series, doesn't like gore, so buckle up.
All right, over to you, Giggz. What's one of your favorite picks there?
Oh, I mean, I was going to say something earlier, but it's tough to encompass a whole studio with one anime, movie, TV show, or whatever. But I think just people should watch anything by Studio Ghibli. Typically, they're iconic. Everything, not everything, but a good majority of what they've produced is very, very accessible, heartwarming, deep, cute, kind of everything under the sun. So just watch some Studio Ghibli stuff and be happy. That's kind of what I say.
I hear that all the time, actually. Studio Ghibli gets a lot of praise from wherever is mentioning it. Even on IMDb, you see all of the Studio Ghibli movies have extremely high ratings on IMDb. I have not seen any of them. If you were to pick one for me, Giggz, which would be like the best sort of Studio Ghibli movie that you would say, if you're going to start watching them, start with this one or check this one out?
Probably Spirited Away, I think. That's probably top pick for me. Yeah. Spirited Away. I think that's it's iconic. I think that's probably the most well-known one as well. So it kind of, you're safe basically with watching that.
That is one of the ones that I do keep frequently hearing. All right, Lex, back over to you. What's another one of your favorite picks?
I'm a big fan of animes where the main character is crazy overpowered. It's true for Demon Slayer. It's true for Dragon Ball. So I would say
Solo Leveling.
Yeah, that would be my next pick. Solo Leveling.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. It's actually a Korean anime, but the dubs are, or the voice actors are Japanese. If I were to give a quick synopsis, it's as if you're watching someone play an MMO, where you're constantly trying to level up your character and you unlock more skills and you get more powerful. And they translate that into beautiful animation and a great story. And I can't go much more into that because, again, you enter spoilers, but that was one of the few animes where I got gripped by, actually, I think episode 2. I didn't even get to episode 3, and I ended up binging it, I think, in a day and a half. And that was like 24 episodes, yeah.
Are you watching this one on Crunchyroll as well?
Yes, that was a Crunchyroll one. I actually subscribed to Crunchyroll specifically to finish that series because I saw the first.
Did you really?
3, and then I got crazy hooked, and I watched half of episode 2. And it was free on Crunchyroll at the time. But when you watch free on Crunchyroll, it's like literally every 4 minutes. But it was still good enough for me to spend the money to commit to it.
So you can only see this on Crunchyroll right now?
I want to say yes. I don't know if they've added it to Netflix yet. But Crunchyroll is where I watched it.
That does sound something like that I would be very interested in. I know part of the appeal for me when I was watching Sword Art Online is kind of similar to what you're saying. It was kind of like I was watching an MMO kind of take place. That kind of concept of watching some sort of story revolving around video game or how video games are impacting this universe personally is something that I'm interested in. So I'm going to add that one to the list too, because that does sound like something I do want to watch right away.
If I were to rank it, that would be the number one to start with. If you like Sword Art Online, this is like mature Sword Art Online with no filler. It's just action upon action and like strong story upon strong story. Very, very good.
Yeah. It gets going pretty quick.
Giggz is actually the one that recommended it to me at the time. Yeah. And I got hooked.
I binged the first season and I knew Lex would like it. So I told him and look what happened.
All right, Giggz, back over to you. Give us another one of your favorite picks.
I think you got to watch One Punch Man. At least the first season. You could probably stop after the first season. Honestly, I would actually stop after the first season. The first season alone is just very, very good, and it's all encompassing. You don't have to watch past the first. There's not really too much to grip you past the first season, so I would just say watch the first season of One Punch Man and be happy because that is so good. And
give us the little synopsis on what One Punch Man is about.
He's a man that one punches people. It's as simple as that.
Pretty self-explanatory, I guess.
Yeah, it's actually just like a parody of what Lex was talking about, where somebody over time gets more and more powerful. He's just OP from the start, and then everyone else struggles with whatever is happening, and then he'll just come along and literally one punch it, and the problem's gone. And his story is just like, I'm too OP, I'm bored, right? So it's a very fun, very action oriented, but also comedy oriented show. It's very, very good. Just watch the first season though. And I'm not saying that because the second season's bad or anything. It's just not as good, and it doesn't really build up anything that you need to invest yourself in. Like, it ends very, very nicely after the first season, and you're good to go. That's kind of it's kind of like the first Matrix. You can watch Matrix 2 and 3, but the first movie is still very good on its own.
Why would you? Right?
Exactly. So that would be mine.
Okay, good. I'm going to throw one in here. I know I don't really have a ton of ones to pick from, but I think maybe our audience, if they're kind of similar to things that I enjoyed, I really liked High Score Girl on Netflix. Yeah. That was a very cute one. It kind of hit all the notes for me. It wasn't really like an action-packed anime, not violent in any way, but basically it's kind of revolves around Japanese arcades, and specifically these kids that are playing in arcades, and kind of revolve around getting high scores, playing Street Fighter, things like that. And anytime you present me arcade stuff or Street Fighter stuff, I'm already invested. It doesn't matter. Give me the 1994 Raul Julia Street Fighter movie. I'll watch that 10 times in a row. Anything Street Fighter arcade related, I'm in for it. But that is my pick for something that really hit the nostalgia bone for me, and I liked that one. I think that's worth a check out.
I feel like on that note, you should, like, we've been talking a lot about series and stuff, but I think movies, films, anime films should be up there in this discussion as well. Because if you're talking about things that you already like, watch like the Street Fighter movie or the Fatal Fury movies or the Darkstalkers movie. Like, they're all done in that early 90s like style, and they're all so campy but awesome at the same time. I love those ones. So like if there's an anime of a thing that you already like, go watch it. There's even like a Iron Man, Avengers anime, an X-Men anime, a Batman anime, like
a Batman anime.
Yeah, but anime.
No, that's really good advice, actually, for all our listeners as well. If there is something that you are interested in and there's an anime for it, that's probably a good place to start, because you're already invested in the character or the universe kind of thing. So I like that advice, Giggz. All right, let's do one last call for your final pick. I don't want anyone to get left on the list without being called out here. So let's do one last pick. Lex, give us your last pick of the day.
Last pick of the day, it's not my favorite one, but it's still a very good one. It's called Re-Zero. Re:0.
Okay.
How did I know? I knew you were going to say that one.
So this anime starts off as your typical, I'm stuck in like a video game life. There's cute girls. I'm going to try and create a harem. But it takes... not so much a twist. It just takes a very darker take on that kind of lifestyle. So, like, you know how Sword Art, they had, like, if you die here, you die in real life.
Yeah.
This one, like, amplifies the concern of you dying.
More than dying in real life?
Yeah. Which is it's hard to explain that without spoiling, but it's okay. They do a good job of explaining why dying is not great.
Yeah, there's much higher stakes involved with dying than in your typical world.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I want to throw in one more. Can I throw in one more quick one?
Yeah.
I feel
definitely.
like you should. Go for
Yeah,
it.
I'm tossing in one more. Shokugeki no Soma, or it's called Food Wars. As
Yes.
my last choice. It's basically like Iron Chef anime, but you have to get past the first few episodes, and you have to watch it not in a family setting, because when you eat something, the clothes get blown off. But then the story gets really good, and the food looks so delicious, and the food is actually chosen by like a top chef in Japan, so it's a legitimate food you can actually cook.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that's it.
Really?
It's enough to Giggz there.
Okay.
Oh my
Good.
god.
All right, Giggz, give us your last pick or picks.
I'm gonna do two. One heavy one and one not so heavy one. So the heavy one, I feel like this is one of the first anime that absolutely wrecked me emotionally, and that was Code Geass. It is a very brain-heavy anime, but in like a futuristic setting. It's incredibly good. It's hard to explain without spoiling anything. It's quite short. It's, I believe, 2 seasons, so I think it's a total of 20-something episodes. But yeah, or maybe 40, because each season's 20 episodes. Super highly recommend it. Code Geass.
Code Geass. Okay.
Geass is spelled Geass, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, and then for a lighter-hearted one, this is my guilty pleasure anime. It's called K-On! With an exclamation mark at the end.
Oh yeah, that's a cute one.
It's so good. It's about I think they're in high school. It's these high school girls that start a music club and they make a band, and the music is actually incredibly good, made by real Japanese bands. And yeah, the music is super catchy. I used to actually listen to it on like the way to uni and stuff. It's very cute, very heartwarming. I love all the characters, and the music is dope. So
I think that one sounds wife-friendly. We actually last week just watched K-pop Demon Hunters on Netflix.
Excellent.
And does that qualify as an anime, by the way?
I would say that's an anime movie, yeah.
Yeah?
I think nowadays those are anime, yeah, because there's a lot of 3D generated anime nowadays.
I gotta say, K-pop Demon Hunters was... I mean, I've heard everyone talking about it. We obviously know the song Golden. That's everywhere. I didn't really have any interest in watching it before because, like I said, haven't watched a ton of animes, and I haven't traditionally been really into K-pop until, I guess, recently. But we watched it, and my wife loved it. She thought it was so cute, so sweet, so heartwarming, so fun. The music really, really good in that movie as well. So I think we might foray into that K-On! One, Giggz, because I feel like that's a good segue right after K-pop Demon Hunters to kind of open the door into the anime world.
Definitely. You'll have to. I'll have to get her opinion on what she thinks if she watches it.
Definitely. All right, folks. That's a wrap for us this week on the Triple XP Arcade. We always love hanging out with you in the party, so please leave a comment below. If you watch animes, let us know what your favorite anime is. And if you don't watch animes, let us know which anime that we've talked about today, or maybe just another anime that's been in the back of your mind that you want to start watching in the next few weeks. And be sure to follow us on socials so you don't miss a drop with new episode releases every Friday. Until then, game on, stay nerdy, and remember, you always level up faster at the Triple XP Arcade.